A very good morning to everyone present in this session. This is your host Shalini Ghosh on behalf of the Idea Factory, and I welcome you all to the very first episode of the Value Lab, a joint program in association with our consulting partner. The Value Lab is a unique service line of the Idea Factory that offers effective ideas to the clients in a time-bound manner. It mirrors the working of the stimulated lab, where select inputs generates desired outputs, opening a window of new possibilities with the client. In this very first episode, we are going to discuss about the case study, value generation in a lead generation company. And today we have with us two most prominent professionals who are going to give us an insight into this. Mr. Abid Mazumdar and Mr. Koushik Chatterjee. Mr. Abir Mazumdar has a rich national and international experience as a strategy planning professional in reputed MNCs for about 20 years, and he is presently an entrepreneur and a business author. His startups, the Idea Factory and the Learning Hall, are poised to make an impact in the management consulting and edtech verticals, respectively. His first book, Thought Leadership in India, has created a corporate impact in India. Through his writings and his entrepreneurship, he has started the Thought Revolution movement, a knowledge revolution in India. Mr. Koushik Chatterjee is a consulting partner to Mr. Abid Mazumdar and is taking an active role in building the joint program, the Value Lab. Mr. Chatterjee is a certified coach from the International Coach Federation. He is also a certified intelligent leadership coach from John Matten. Besides, he is also a sales facilitator from Rain Group, a top 20 global power selling organization. Mr. Chatterjee has a corporate experience of 25 years and has held leadership positions in reputed business groups. I welcome you both to the discussion on the topic. Over to the speakers.
Thank you, Shalini, and good morning, Abir, as well. So here we are in one of the episodes of the Idea Factory, and we are just going to take a good dip in one of the organizations. I think we have chosen Just Dial, a service provider, in terms of checking out and doing a framework of generating value from, or rather unlocking value from where they are to, what is possible for them. And so, Abir, more about this, let me hear from you before we start the session.
Thank you, Shalini, and thank you, Koushik. A good morning and morning wishes to all of you and all the viewers of the program. First of all, there is good news for our viewers who have been watching our videos on a regularly basis. We are expanding our bouquet of services, and as you can see, we are trying to bring in more and more and better conversations around various topics that may help smaller and bigger organizations of today and tomorrow. Today, as Shalini has already said, we are taking up the first episode or first discussion of the Value Labs, which is going to examine organizations and trying to add value to their operations through various challenges that are being presented from time to time. Today, as Koushik has already said, we are going to discuss a company called Just Dial, which is a very reputed company in today's terms, and their lead generating process, and how we are going to, how it is impacting the customers in the short, medium, and long term. Let me run you through a short presentation, and maybe then we can take the discussion forward. Give me a minute for that.
So I think still the time Abir comes back. Shalini, over to you.
Yes, and I'm really sorry for the technical glitch that we are facing as of now. I would request all the audience to please bear with us, and we will soon come back with our speaker.
Is the video audible?
Yes, sir, you are
Is the
audible now.
screen is visible now? Okay,
Yes.
as we have already said, we are just running you through a few slides that will take the discussion forward as far as Just Dial is concerned. A little bit of introductory overview of Just Dial. As we all know, Just Dial has been floated in 1996, that is about 25, 26 years ago, by Mr. V.S.S. Money, when during those times there was yellow pages where we all had to flip through that yellow book to find out all the numbers, and it was quite progressive at that point in time for him to start something telephonic where people would not have to glance to the pages and would just call up Just Dial and get all the details that they wanted. It started from there, and today it's a well-known, reputed organization which has been built over the 26 years. Basically, what it does exactly. It started with, as we have said, it started with providing information to regular customers, and then expanded its services as we over a period of time. It provides local B2C services to Indian customers today through phone, website, and mobile apps. We have it has recorded revenues as high as rupees 1,100 crores in 2020, and in July 2021, it has been there has been a stake takeover by Reliance Retail. So today, Just Dial is much more advanced, much more strengthened, and having the backup of Reliance, of course, it is geared to add more value to the Indian customer as we move along. As we know, it has been tagged as India's #1 local search engine. So it's basically positioned as a local search engine, and we have an all India toll-free number, which all of us are aware of it by now. A little bit of overview as to what it does. Just by a call, it can share detailed information about contact numbers and addresses of restaurants, hotels, or wedding planners, or flights, or schools, real estate, whatever you need. There has a categories that have been created over time, and there's a numerous number of categories. And whenever we call them, we get a lot of contact numbers on the locality that we want to know. So instead of googling out and spending a lot of time, Just Dial saves us a lot of time, makes it more handy, and it also passes on the information to those categories, and they also start calling us up over the various services. So it's kind of a very handy support, free of cost, to the regular customer. In 2021, they also ventured into e-commerce platform, which is JD Mart, as a B2B e-commerce platform where the buyers and the sellers, bulk buyers and wholesale sellers, they can start businesses, which is in line with India Mart. Okay, so basically they are not only on the B2C segment, they have also ventured into the B2B segment and the e-commerce platform, and that is how Just Dial is expanding its courier services over a period of time. We all have seen the Just Dial advertisements in the television. Actually, Mr. Bachchan has been the Just Dial brand ambassador for a long period of time, and we have all seen his humorous videos. On top of that, very recently, Mr. Ranveer Singh has also been roped in, and so a lot of ads have also come in. So it's a very dynamic group, and passing the messages on for more and more people to use Just Dial services, so that the whole expansion happens over a period of time. Okay, so one is on one side you have the contact people who call up over a phone, and on the back end there are a lot of businesses that are waiting to be contacted to these customers. In terms of the free services we have seen, now let's go a bit deeper into the revenue elements of Just Dial. Just Dial builds its own revenues through business listing, as we have seen that there are various categories, and these businesses are listed in Just Dial, and information is passed on between the buyer and the business, so that they can contact each other absolutely free of cost. So this is, but business listing is a paid version, so there's a revenue element coming into Just Dial from there. On top of that, they also do business promotions. So it's like a marketing job. When people search Just Dial, they will be able to see these advertisements. And on top of that, they've even started website designing of clients, so that also is done at a price. So these are various platforms, and slowly I'm sure we'll see more and more revenue enhancing activities of Just Dial, through which it consolidates its revenues. Uh, Now that we go into lead generation, a bit of an introduction to what lead is. Lead is the contact number and the details of the person who are interested in buying a particular service. So, and this is very helpful because people do look around for information, and a lot of information is may not be available through Google search, because these are personal information, official address. Some of them are available in net, some of them are not. But if they are listed in Just Dial, you'll be able to get those details from there. So it's a very active list operating in Just Dial. They have a huge telecalling center in Mumbai as well as in the rest of the country. And these telecalling centers pass on the information between the buyer and the seller. They generally operate between three platforms. One is the call center, as we have already said. One is also the website, which is they have a just www.justdial.com. And now they also have an app, which is GD app, through which we can, by the click of a button, we'll be able to connect to these services absolutely free of cost. So these are the free services that are operating from Just Dial. And then at the back end, there are these businesses that of various categories that are being listed out there. And these businesses, whenever you inquire on these information, there's a back and forth information flowing between these customers as well as these businesses, so that they both connect with each other and take the discussions forward. So this particular information flow to the business is basically a lead generation or contact generation, which is actually at a very core element of business growth. Everybody wants to talk to people who are interested in their services, and Just Dial just does that. It helps in connecting people to who are interested in buying your services and takes the discussion forward. And of course, lead generation is a paid service, and one of the major, in fact, perhaps it's the most major paid revenue stream of Just Dial. While in terms of lead generation, now let us go a bit further into what lead generation does. They do support, and there are certain thoughts that have come to me through my own personal experience in Just Dial. Basically, the leads that are being provided, many of these leads that are being provided, so there's an automated mechanism that works there. There's a portal out there, so where people search, people connect, and that information is passed on to the businesses for their taking the discussions forward. But currently, there are certain challenges that are happening, which means that these leads are kind of auto-generated and do not have a filtration process by the company itself before passing on to the customer. So many of these leads are initially just by the call. If you pass on, many of these leads are actually may not be genuine leads and cannot be taken forward. Similarly, some of these leads are also unverified in terms of phone numbers. Okay, but it's kind of loose because they are done by the system and without much processing by the system itself, it's being passed on to the customer. So basically, there are certain challenges out here. One, there is no filtration in the whole process, and then there is also no conversion responsibility, which means that whether this will convert or not, that they have nothing to do with that. They've just passed on this information to them. Okay, so that is one element that we see in Just Dial today. Also, there are so many smart features available in businesses today that you come near me, you get businesses near Flow. It's being propagated or promoted as a local search engine. Some of the smart features are quite missing. They have not invested too much on artificial intelligence so that the leads are improved over time. They may start a bit random, but then they improve over time. Those are not currently visible in the process. What happens, a lot of leads are being passed on to customers wherein people do not even respond further. There may not be requirements out there. There could be a category mismatch, locational mismatch, and also the fees mismatch, wherein means that the requirement of this person and the fees that they are offering, there's no criteria matching. So in the process, what happens, a lot of leads pass on to the person, and after a lot of back and forth discussion, they realize that these conversions are not possible. So if you want to quantify the amount of conversion that are happening to these leads, you will not be able to quantify that whether 70% is convertible or 60% is convertible because of these various issues. And that remains a big challenge of Just Dial, as whatever little bit we have seen on that. So that's one of the main, that's perhaps the main challenge of Just Dial. Other than that, there is also an issue on the output part in terms of the payment, because by the time the customer or the business understands whether they would benefit from this association or not, the payment is already taken for 1 full year, and the person has no choice but to continue with the services and put up with all these corrections factors over a period of time. But so somewhere there is kind of a mismatch of expectation, because when they talk to people, they they overpromise, and at the point of delivery they do under deliver. And I've seen some few videos also on net which actually tells the same thing, and also some reviews that have come up which actually are saying the same thing, that the payment is being very upfront and there is no scope of negotiation with them once you see that your leads are not working out for you, or if there is any adjustment that can be done because the leads are not benefiting you. Also, they have our EMI model, which is kind of but at that EMI model they had take a 3 month down payment and an automated ECS. You will not be able to cancel it. There's an automated ECS that runs through the year. There's a special clause, you need to take special permission to cancel the program, but by that time you would have put in a significant amount of financial part, and you will see that the leads are not coming properly, and these are running for a bit. So there is no trial plan. Typically, when someone is trying for the first time, there has to be kind of a trial plan to try out for a month or so. So that plan is they immediately take you to a 1 year plan. Okay, there is no refund mechanism, and whenever you try to cancel, there are so many clauses there when you have to cancel. So it's kind of a financial lock-in, and the value for money concept again fits in, because on one side you are seeing that the leads are not helping you much, on the other side you are seeing that you're already invested 1 year of payment to the Just Dial out there, and so you are kind of locked in financially to the whole process. And there are certain challenges out there over there. Okay, so having said that, another thing that I wanted to tell you, that lead generation, as we can understand, it is not only about Just Dial. There are several companies who are trying to offer services based on lead generation. In fact, the digital marketing campaigns are also available in Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, where you campaign and get leads out there. And here these people are trying to give you leads which are ready. Appears to be much more faster than a Facebook, and appears to be much more consolidated, so you can save a lot of time in the whole process. And so I have also interacted with a few more lead generation companies, and some of their names are also there, but they actually trying to follow the same model. So it's like the last mile connectivity in telecom terms is missing in these services, because the customer is actually not benefiting from this association. So, and sorry to say, Just Dial is the biggest of the lot. It is not offering any differentiation over their competitors who are kind of smaller size, and all are playing the same process in which they are serving the leads to them, but not taking responsibility of the conversion of the leads. Similarly, you can compare it. Instead of leads, then should databases be useful? There are database companies also who support, who provide databases, which is kind of cold calling. You have to call them up over there. They also have committed leads, but basically leads are supposed to be hot. And while database companies are cheaper, so you can actually say you take a longer time, because most of them are cold and some of them may be hot or whatever. But typically lead generation is supposed to be hot, and it is very sad that we are discussing this topic out here where lead generation is not working the way customers want it. Yeah, I also want to talk about another good experience that I've had over the last year. During there was this small company which I interacted, which is called Bhartak Tuitions, and what they did, they connected, they did exactly the thing which Just Dial is not doing. They actually invested in a company like Just Dial. I think they invested in Suleka, took the leads, filtered them out, and only passed on the hot leads to the customers. So by staying there, of course, it's a small service, so it's basically based only out of Delhi. But that appears to me to be a better option. They invested on their database, on the leads, filtered them out, and then passed it on to the customer. So the gap which people are facing. Somebody is already filling the gap. And if a company like Just Dial does not acknowledge this problem, there will be someone to fill up the gap today or tomorrow. So at the same time, I just want to say that there is a great business response opportunity for this lead generation, because people are waiting for leads. And if someone can come up, and that includes Just Dial, if they can come up and help people in the conversion process, it will sell like hotcakes. Somewhere Just Dial is kind of slipping out as per the recent financial details. Also, Just Dial's growth is kind of stagnating. People are not buying its services, and by the kind of reviews and by the kind of video things that we are seeing out there, if Just Dial doesn't sit up and act on these recommendations and reviews, very soon Just Dial may not be able to get more and more new customers. I think this is a little bit an introductory presentation from my side. And with this background, I hand it over to Koushik. Koushik, this is for you to take it forward from here.
Thanks, Abir. I think you gave a great overview of the current state of Just Dial. And so what we're going to do is, maybe take some of these inputs and take it through a framework. And I borrowed this framework from Rain Group. It's called Paths. And the objective of it is to look at what could be some of the big play strategies for Just Dial. And the framework is, as I said, Paths stands for, the premise, the assumptions, the truths, hypothesis, and solution. So it sort of looks at the current state, looks at what are the thought processes and beliefs that the company has about themselves, and then isolates some of the facts from this assumptions, and then sort of looks at what is possible in the hypothesis, and from there moves into a solution piece. So I need your help in sort of traveling this journey. And I'll invite you to be, sort of wearing a Just Dial hat when we do this exercise.
Sure.
So, one observation that I have is, we still call it Just Dial, whereas I think the world has moved from dial to click. And this is just a thought process to begin with, and let's see if that has anything out there. So. While you were speaking, I just gathered some notes, and I understand that currently, as let's say, if I'm talking in the first person on behalf of Just Dial, where are we? So we are everywhere, right? We have across some 14 services, you name it, from food to flight tickets, from home solutions to office solutions. As Just Dial, we have almost a seller on the platform, right? But it's still on the listing side of it, right? So if I offer a career guidance service, I am listed on Just Dial. So I'm still a name on the platform. Now, as Just Dial, I think, as you mentioned, it looks like we are working on a problem, and maybe we can take this as a problem and look at what could be a solution. Is we think as Just Dial that we are unable to deliver our promise of giving verified leads to our subscribers. People buy a promise. That's the value that I think all consumers would be looking for as a small, medium enterprises. When you have taken their services, I'm sure you would asked, what's your promise? And they had said that, you pay us 10,000 and we assure you maybe whatever, 100 number of leads. And I guess the visualization that you had is, you are actually buying verifiable contacts who are interested, because the word leads is not database. These are people willing to consume services. And as you said, those filters have also been checked in terms of locations, in terms of price norming, and so on and so forth. So, is it right to ascertain a bit that, maybe in this session briefly, can we pick this as a problem that as Just Dial, we have heard enough from the social media that we are not doing a great job, and what we are selling is a promise that as a SME you buy a package and we give you leads. That promise is not being met. Do you can we agree to work on this problem?
Yes, because that's what they say. They are convertible leads. Conversion your responsibility, but they are convertible leads. Okay, whereas the customer sees it like maybe 10% or 5% is convertible, remaining 95% is not convertible. And not only that, they not only give it to you, they also give it to everybody which is in their system. You're not the only guy there. So obviously, there's a lot of competition within the whole process, and many of the times you don't even get that 10% or 5% of
That's
leads
right.
over there.
That's right. And hence, where we are stuck as a business is, while the others have grown, our competitors, whether it's in the fintech side or in the food delivery side or in the cab hailing side, almost everybody has grown. We don't see that growth. I mean, when I say we, Mandap, Just Dial, actually the revenue has declined
Yes.
6% year on year.
Yes.
So the market,
Post-COVID, they have not included, and
they
that's
have not recovered.
surprising. Yeah, that's surprising
Yeah,
because all
yeah.
others are picking up.
And while Just Dial is a listed company, the market is also not rewarding to the extent in terms of the appreciation of the stocks, etc. And so on has not happened. Now, albeit there's an acquisition. I mean, sort of a I think takeover by Reliance, and there's a lot to be expected out there. So going by this problem statement that where we are not doing what we have promised, what could be the assumptions onto this piece? As a company, when I talk to Just Dial, maybe they will say we offer verified leads. That's an assumption.
Right.
I think they're living in a world that they're offering verified leads,
Sure.
right? But however, as customers feel otherwise, and I'm sure that is also known to them because they're hearing that from the market, from the social media, from a few consumer complaints that are hitting their board, right? As a company, I think the assumption is, Just Dial, we have a good, robust tech platform. Is that right?
Right.
As an assumption?
Right. They kind of what would I say? I won't say, but yeah, it is working on a tech platform. And there is an automated method of transferring leads from here to there. It is strong because we do get a lot of leads every day. So obviously the capturing process is good,
Sure.
things like
Sure.
that. So the tech platform is big enough, and that is nationally with local area focus. So it's quite a robust.
Okay. Possibly there's another assumption as a company that JD feels it's easy to try us, right? Right or wrong, we'll get into this, but that's an assumption, right?
Right. Very true.
Yeah. And I think we also assume that our policies are pretty customer friendly. So when you talk to a JD seller, I'm sure she would put up a lot of conviction in saying that, yeah, I'll get you help.
Yeah, they are very good smooth talkers, and so they put in a lot of energy to explain this is how you're going to benefit. So that way, a lot of talks happen. So in the process, there seems to be a gap.
Yeah. And do you feel from a thought process of the leadership, because growing a listing business over 26 years, and the last year I think they had in excess of 1,000 crores. Getting acquired by Reliance. So obviously there's a potential that if Reliance has acquired it, there is some sense in this acquisition. I'm sure there is a lot of expert unlocking the value theory that must have gone into this. And so the assumption is, maybe we have reached this stage, and we can actually take it forward from what we have done in the past will take us.
Yes, that is what my interaction with them has revealed. I mean, that's what they feel, that this is the way it works. If it's not working for you, then that is your headache. This is the way it works. I mean, there are kind of discussions with companies go around that direction, and back and forth communication with them also messages the same thing, that this is how it works. So obviously, what made us here will take until and unless you listen to the customer that this is what we want, and you're not giving, we want A, you're giving us B, so there's a distance between A and B. This is not going to add value over a period of time.
So are there any other assumptions, putting yourself as a JD seller, or Do you feel there are any other belief systems when they sort of approach a customer? I mean, we talked about that we got a great solution. It is easy for you to buy our services. We walk the talk along with you, so we are there. Nothing to worry about. We deliver our promises. Uh, any other assumptions that sort of exude?
I think the assumption centers around that point, but that what made us here will take us there. Kind of saying that their model is kind of as of now time tested. In the process, they've increased their fees double after COVID. I mean, before COVID they were charging X. After COVID they are charging Y, with almost the same model. The model has not changed. The process has not changed. Only difference is that was pre-COVID and this post-COVID. And I think these are kind of the assumption. Also, you can take down your point as another assumption that just dial was a dialing service. And when we are talking of leads, it's actually a separate service, which may or may not fit into just dial. We may be we are maybe taking more than what just dial would have chewed up. So I think that's another word. This could be another company.
Yeah. Okay. So let's quickly look at some of these assumptions and see whether what are the facts around it? Are they true or not? So are they offering verified leads? I hear the answer is a resounding no.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what at best are they offering? They are giving you tons of names, but these are
who
not
have touched their system. Tons of names touched their system, who may or without knowing much about them, who have either called them or who have either searched the website or connected to just that without any filtering process.
So there is no qualification mechanism. It is just a digital imprint that touches them, is getting redirected to you. Right. I mean, to that extent, if you're a tuition center, it is not necessarily a customer will be part of that data. It actually can be a stationary guy who will come and say, Mr. Majumdar, you have got this, you may need ink cartridges. I can sell you out there.
May not be that wild, but yes, okay. There are, instead of, students, there are teachers, there are music classes, there are all sorts of little, which are may or may not, it's quite wild. I mean, it's all haywire. I mean, some of them are kind of related, but it may not be absolutely haywire, but quite a lot. I mean, it doesn't fit into the premise that for which the plan for which you have taken, a lot of leads come in that way.
Okay. And can we say that this piece of being a robust tech platform? So if I look at who are their competition now, let's look at a Paytm, right? A Paytm, you also have a view of let's say buying certain things, booking tickets, and all that stuff, right? Look at a big basket. You buy your grocery from there, right? Book my show, you get the ticket. So the morning I avail the service from Urban Clap. And I just used the app and, I got a carpenter at home. So in all of this, it is the platform who is accountable for the service. In Urban Ladder, I guess, the Urban Company, the carpenter, Mr. Manoj Singh, who comes to me, is actually being seen by me as a urban ecosystem member, right? As a verified piece. So what as Urban is doing is, helping a carpenter meet a customer, right?
Right.
The piece is pretty similar, but then as a customer, I get a lot of conviction that I actually am transacting and talking to Urban. I pay the money to Urban. The quality of service is sort of accountable through Urban.
Right.
And today, if I raise a complaint, I know I will get some bit of a response. In a lot of good customer experience back from them.
Right.
So and all of this is being done through the tech platform. Whereas in Just Dial, I understand that this dynamics of actually getting the ecosystem member. So let's say if you're a tuition house, and if you subscribe the services, and I'm a possible customer of yours, maybe my daughter would like to have a maths piece. So when I look at you, and one is there's no qualification. So I just look at you. I just do a search and then I automatically direct it as so-called lead. So one is a qualification where I should be able to qualify myself that I have a daughter studying class 9, needs facilitation in maths, and I'm looking for somebody in the 3 kilometer radius, etc., etc. The other is, at your end, I mean, if Just Dial would have had held the promise that, I actually have 100 maths tutors who are verified, who got a decent customer rating of, whatever, 4 out of 5, then as a consumer, I buy a promise that I get good maths tutors from Just Dial. But today, I guess that's what the others are doing. When I'm using a payment gateway, when I'm booking a cab, I'm saying I get good. I get taxes on time when I book through Uber. That's my feeling. I get great quality vegetables when I book through Swiggy Instamart and absolutely on time. So as if a Swiggy or a Grofers is actually providing me the vegetables. But we
Right.
already know that at the back end, they have the providers, with whom they are built up
Right.
this ecosystem.
Right. Right.
So is the truth that, the current tech platform is actually just from that search, it was built from taking the legacy yellow pages, physical search to possibly a clickable search, and that's it. And
Right.
may not have been built up for the dynamics of the modern businesses.
Right. Very true.
Right.
Right.
So it is
So the
not.
accountability of Just Dial is missing vis-a-vis the example that you have taken, wherein you are actually, they have pulled it up in such a way like you're ordering Zomato is Zomato. So here it's not Just Dial. So it's the other guy. So he's just like passing it on and then said, no, this is between you and him. We are not anyway connected to that.
Absolutely. And you know, and I think the policy is easy to try. As you said, there is no trial. There's no. I mean, today all internet businesses gives you an opportunity to try. Maybe try for 1 day, try for 7, 15 days, right?
Right.
Uh, you don't see that trial window coming out from them.
No.
Is that right?
Right. Very true.
So
I've
it's
checked it out with
absolutely,
them.
yeah, right from the word beginning, you have to subscribe.
Yes.
Right.
1 year.
Yeah. Right. And your other policies also doesn't look to create a favorable customer experience, whether
Yes.
it's
Yes.
return, refund.
Right.
So the truth is, it's pretty poor customer experience, that way, right? Uh, and any other truths that is coming out from the assumption? I mean, let's say what could be a truth? What the thought process of being a dial-based search engine. What matters here will take us there. I'm trying to touch from that perspective. Uh, is that I mean there is still a very legacy mindset that is holding this.
No, not really, because they, they believe this is working for them. At least the field people. I have interacted with the field people. They believe this is a workable model, and there are guys who are benefiting. I won't say that there are guys who are not benefiting, because we can be, whenever you go, they show a huge list of agreements which they have built upon. But basically, those guys who are, this is not meant for startups or people who are kind of slightly dependent on that guy for leads. If you are a ready-made guy like a Byju's or, who's kind of made its name on sale, and you just give the leads and things will become easily to them, it might work for them. But for startups and, people who are trying to spread through these leads, of course, this, may not work for them, because they believe that our name sells. Whether your name sells or not is not our responsibility. Okay, so that way.
So is it, can I take that, it is actually true while they are able to service a section of the market, maybe people who who still believe in that yellow pages plus services,
Right.
who had just moved into from a yellow pages to browsing a website. Uh, however, there's a larger part of the market, which is like almost a digital native, the demography, which is like 35 years or young, who are also consuming a lot of services. And today they are conditioned, they are benchmarked to use services like Book My Show or Paytms or Zomato, Swiggy, etc. Right? And so is it that it's true that maybe a large part of that crowd is actually not looking at Just Dial as a service? Maybe
Yes, true. That is also true, because they have already made a prominence name. And I was reading somewhere, some people believe that Just Dial has spread itself too thin by being present in so many areas, whereas there are, specialists already there. I have a point there, because we are also doing work in various services. Like, to some extent, Just Dial is similar to the way Idea Factory is working, because we are also not very specialist or niche, or trying to focus only on one area. We are also spreading, and the premise that we have vis-a-vis what Just Dial has is that even if you service 10 customers in the vertical that you're focusing on, it should be good enough. Why should, even if I spread myself thin and I service 10 customers vis-a-vis someone who's a specialist who serves 300 customers, the service given to my 10 customers should be better than the service given to them. So I can still be a generalist, but I have to add value to the customer that is in my kitty. It's not that I can't manage. In that case, it doesn't make sense for me to multiple areas. I think there is one connection. So there is one scheme of thought which says they are two generalists. They have put their feet in every area. And there is another scheme of thought that even if you put your feet in every area, which is your expertise, which is definitely your expertise, you should be able to serve your customers that way. Otherwise, you don't go for it. So even if you do 10 customers or 20 customers, you must add something extra to them, not less. Here, there is a serious gap. You are giving less than what the market done. So there is the market, the names that you have taken, they're actually offering more than what the customer wants.
Yeah. So Abir, in this case, Just Dial, who is the customer? Is it the user or is it a service provider? I mean, whatever I could understand, it's actually the service provider, because
he's the paid guy.
He's the guy who's paying for the service.
Right. So he is exactly the customer, because he's paying. The free guy is actually not the real customer. He's getting connected, but the real customer for Just Dial, which is building its platform, it's the paid guy.
Yeah. So in this case, you as a service provider will be successful and get better quality leads when there's better quality traffic that's hitting the platform. Right? And if you look at today, I think the whole focus of the business growth is around getting more and more businesses listed,
right,
and offering them a digital service of leads, website, etc. Right? I mean, the revenue is coming from that side.
Right.
However, the success lies on consumption, right? I mean, no matter whether you buy a 10,000 package or a 20,000 package, you may buy this one time, but your success will not come unless you got quality leads, which is a function of quality traffic discovering your services on Just Dial.
Right. Also, I must mention the ads that have come out, as I mentioned about Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Ranveer Singh. They are also kind of focused on the traffic. The ad talks about the traffic. They don't talk about the listing. They're saying the list is already there, but that's focused upon the traffic. So with that ad, they are supposed to get more and more people use Just Dial, so that these listed guys get more value for money. So in a way, it's good. I mean, they are focusing on the free guy. The ad is focusing on the free guy. Just give a call. Nothing. You don't have to do anything. Just give a toll-free call, and everything will be sorted out. Which I see is quite a good premise. As long as you match both of them properly, I think that's fine. You generally don't have to advertise, or maybe there could be a separate advertisement. I think there was this B2B ad by Ranveer Singh, which could be a separate advertisement, but typically this is for the B2C services.
Yeah, yeah. So on one side now, I mean, what you are saying is that there is money that is getting invested to bring traffic through advertisement, high endorsement advertising. On the other side, the revenue is being sought from the provider, right? Now, as I mean, as a consumer, when I take up the service, obviously I need to have. I got used to certain quality of services now. Whereas today, Just Dial, if you are a service provider, Just Dial is no way enabling or making you accountable to the quality of service that you are delivering. Just Dial is saying, my strength lies in listing thousands of maths tutors on that.
Right.
Whereas I am driving traffic and I am expecting that the traffic will discover who is the best out there.
Right.
So the onus of decision or choosing lies on the consumer, who is anyway not paying, who's anyway doesn't have a promise of getting the best service provider. I mean, as a consumer, why should I take the headache of finding out whether who's the best tutor in 3 kilometers radius, right? So moving to the hypothesis part of it, do you feel that there is I mean, whatever I've been mentioning is exactly the model that the others are talking, where you really make yourself as a platform accountable for the services that you are offering. It is not listing. I mean, shift it from a list to actually offer, in the sense currently, as Just Dial, my responsibilities are absolved so long as I show that, here is this tuition center. Right.
There is a point there. They have a point called review. And people who use their services, they are encouraged to use the review and the ratings. So whenever someone is using the services, they even talk about, in fact, it's even told in the advertisement also, that you can choose which service based on the multiple reviews that you get from the Just Dial system. So in a way, there is a check and balance saying that whose review is good, you can use that service, whose review rating is 5 rating or 4 rating. And you read the reviews and you get a sense that this guy is good enough. So let me have food in this place. Okay, so there's a certain check and balance out there that way. Yeah. So it's kind of indirect. Let's say you ask people to use the review mechanism, and then you ask the customer to choose based on the reviews.
Okay. So so in that case, what's possible? Let's move into the hypothesis side. One obviously is redefining, what is a lead is possible, right? Or improving. In fact, I will say it's actually a redefining the lead.
Lead generation, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is not a data, but it is a completely verified and qualified.
Convertible lead.
Verified, qualified. So that's the strengthening of the promise. That I think that needs a reinforcement. Do you feel that if that is a area that is addressed and focused and invested, do you feel that the business listing, people like the SMEs who really see this as a promise of growing their business, do you see that grows? That when I get better quality leads and I got a lead closure when I use Just Dial, maybe my closing rate is whatever,
higher.
15%.
Yes. So the redefinition of the lead, and also one layer of work is missing. As obviously, if you're talking of a redefinition, there is one layer of working in whatever way you do it, tech way or you do it people way, when you refine these leads. Like generally in everything that you do, because 100 queries translate into 3 customers. That's what the thumb rule that we see. 100 leads convert into 3 customers. They also should filter it out, and only those should be. So the filtering has to be done at their level instead of throwing it to the customer and he is doing the filtering, which is as good as getting leads from social media. I mean, if I filter it out from there, I would do it free of cost. from social media, from Facebook, from LinkedIn, whatever leads I get, I filter it out, and I have no expectation from them that this is working. Okay, because I'm not paying for it. It's a free service and it's available in social media. But when you're going for a paid service with a brand name like Just Dial, that filtering responsibility lies with Just Dial and cannot be passed on to the customer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, do you see that the belief that JD is a digital company? I mean, rather than it's like a listing company. Because the moment you feel that it's like force fitting yellow pages into a wrapping of online. Possibly
Yes,
that's the current state.
right.
Whereas the need is actually to forget about that and actually recreate a truly digital piece. Because with that, then every bit of it, how the customers discover you, how they try you, how they subscribe to you, how they move out or stay back with you, everything is then digital, right? Today, we are seeing the work, all the fintechs are working in opening and bank account.
No, not everything is digital because they are taking inputs from their call center also. So there's a certain amount of Just Dial already inbuilt into the system. On top of that, these digital things are building in. So basically, I think there is a time to redefine the whole process, whether you make one company or just keep Just Dial for the telemarketing, and for the digital, you convert into another company where Just Dial feeds certain inputs to them, and these guys do the value addition. And because this is a separate business, I think let us also understand that what Just Dial expectation of Just Dial is not the same as expectation of this lead generation.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's a different ball game, and you perhaps need a different company for this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what we are saying is think digital and really accept that redefine that you are in the business of giving right leads. So redefine the purpose, and obviously when you redefine the purpose, you invest in the right systems and processes, whether it's tech based or contact center based, into fulfilling that purpose,
Right.
right?
Right.
Also,
you can redefine. You can write it as redefine Just Dial or reinvent Just Dial. I think there is enough scope for reinventing the whole model.
yeah,
They are still kind of
absolutely. So
there is
that's
a
right.
scope of reinventing and
Yeah.
fitting in a lot of smart features which I said perhaps are missing, which are already available today. Most of them are using it. If a cab company can use it, I mean, Just Dial is a much more premium service vis-a-vis that. Why can't Just Dial use the GPS services which a cab company can use?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if this is possible, and the solution looks like actually what I think we mentioned as build a digital company, build a separate digital company if you want to do that, or you completely reinvent into this and think into the digital fabric, right? Uh, I think the solution also lies in completely rebranding, whatever that click
Right.
to.
Another thing that I want to say is that there is a scope. You can work backwards by saying that I will give 80% convertible leads to the customer, may change the whole ball game. If you define as your goal to the customer, your service goal to the customer, that I will give them 80% convertibility or 90% convertibility, and then you work backwards to build an organization to fit into that goal, that would do wonders for
Very
Just
well
Dial.
said, Abir. I think that's so. What you're saying is you state your promise, right? I mean, at Just Dial, we give 80%.
At least 80. I mean, that
Whatever,
way. Yeah, that's what they say, right? They don't exactly give a data point, but somewhere around it.
Yeah.
At least
So
80%.
when you sort of affirm it and you stand for this, so that's taking a dominant market position. That's like going and disrupting, and then you build the entire system backwards for that.
Yes.
And you build a digital fabric to this. You possibly refresh your identity. That can help so that you attract the demography today that's not with you, right? Uh, so This sort of clarifies the purpose and the promise. This sort of builds the new organization constituents, and this sort of gives us a view of who we are as a changed avatar, right?
Right.
Uh,
Also, I want to say, since we are using such big brand ambassadors, I mean, it is very sad we are discussing this. So there is a certain amount of responsibility to your customers when you appoint ambassadors of that level, brand ambassadors of that level. So I think Just Dial has to remember that the brand ambassador also gets a bad name if your services are not up to the mark for your customers. So that point also we have to fit in somewhere. Because
yeah,
tomorrow, the brand ambassador puts his name and is at risk. But here the company is truly, it's a name, but then there's much more it can do to live up to the standards of the brand ambassadors that they have appointed.
yeah. So what we were saying, I mean, whether irrespective of the ambassadors today, they are actually amplifying a false promise, right? I mean, it's like
Yes,
a legendary figure coming and saying, "Phone घुमाइए और बाकी सब काम हो जाएगा," which
right,
is not true. So
true,
it is whether Mr. Bachchan comes and says or whether you and I comes and says, anyway, it's misleading, right?
right,
So I will possibly say that the piece is we should promote when you are ready. So I mean the one of the solution actually to relook at your marketing, maybe your ATL campaigns, your TV campaigns and all, and look at the timing of it. Maybe just with the Reliance acquisition, it's with deep cash and pockets available now, a lot can be done, and I'm sure Reliance has a lot of experiences in turning around legacy businesses. So uh, take 6 months, 12 months, I mean, create the new avatar, and then get Mr. Bachchan go and talking. By the time you know that you are promising 80% and holding yourself accountable, your entire talent, system, process, strategy, everything is aligned towards that, and you have perfect enablement. So I think uh, rather than the choice of the endorser, possibly the timing of the endorsement is also critical.
right, right, right. When things are not ready, you do not inform.
That's right. I mean,
Another
don't
thing,
amplify a false promise. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you want to put in somewhere? There's one more point I want to say, but let's finish this first. You want to finish this writing?
Yeah. So I think the hypothesis is, amplify the brand when it is ready. I mean, the point that you said is, currently, uh, the end. I mean, let's say Big B
Random.
is
Yeah, yeah.
Big B is amplifying a small a false promise. Is misleading.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
Right. One more point I have. I
yeah.
think they have to break up they don't have modular programs, because I think the startups or the businesses that are small need to be treated differently vis-a-vis the bigger ones. As I've told you, maybe the bigger ones are finding value in Just Dial, and that is what is keeping Just Dial going. But the smaller businesses, who needs a more hand holding, who actually are over dependent on someone who's providing them leads, they have to be treated different. So they have to have differential programs or differentiate guidance, guidance programs for different segments. So one for the startup, then for the MSME, then for medium size and big size, whatever business sizes you put in, and you have a separate training for them and more support for startups. I'll tell you generally what happens because the bigger guys pay them more. Their treatment to the big guy is even more better. Whereas the small guy, because he's taking a smaller plan, he will not get the attention. But the small business needs more attention. The big one doesn't. So maybe you have to skew it in such a way that if you want a long-term plan, if you want people to get connected to you, the small guy will stay connected to you for the next 3, 4, 5 years. If you handhold them and help them grow, both can grow together. So there's a lot of investment that in the longer term you might benefit if you handhold the small guy who's paying small today. As he grows bigger, he will increase his engagement, and you can offer more programs to them. So you kind of hold it, and that is not possible. Again, as I come back to the same point, it's not possible within the huge magnanimous Just Dial that it is today. you have to break it down into smaller units. To give that small focus to these businesses, you do that, and we'll see how it will be done. I think that's how these are some thoughts that are in my mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I heard you saying is, I mean, if you're in the business of making SMEs successful, and I think, with Digital India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, we got a right time and space uh, to take a position and say, I take the responsibility as Just Dial or whatever my um, transformed avatar is, to actually make the SMEs successful. So if you are a tuition center, uh, I'm working to making you successful by giving leads, which can close 80%. That's one. But I got a plethora of ecosystem, so I can also help connect with the other people who maybe a social media expert, right, to promote your business. Maybe somebody who can give you
Yes.
a space for coaching centers, so on and so forth.
Right.
Right. I think that's the strength. And then on one side, you are creating an organization which is focused with the end user, which is the consumer. On the other side, if you are taking money, your business is paid by SMEs. Why don't you treat them as a customer and offer them services much beyond leads? Because leads is just one part of it, right?
Right. Right.
With so much of an ecosystem strength. And I think JD will have the best ecosystem, best verified ecosystem, having in the business for so long years,
Very true. Yes.
uh, to really combine and collate. So maybe looking at building a holistic solution could be an action that actually can help them to fulfill their promise, not just from a leads perspective, but really making SMEs successful in their businesses.
Right. So kind of synergistic support through the entire
Synergistic.
ecosystem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Through
yeah.
the entire ecosystem.
Right,
Yes.
right. And that's where their true potential can get unlocked and leverage. They can, whatever they've built, they can actually leverage the ecosystem and unlock their potential. Yeah. I think they will beat their competition by miles because that's their strength. Right.
Right.
So great, Abir. I think we
One
have.
more point. One more point. I am still old school, but I believe relationship managers are very important vis-a-vis the tech platform that you've said. Like a tech platform is fine, but a relationship manager gives a lot of comfort uh,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
person because he takes it around within the system. Okay,
So
and he understands. So there is also a room for, I feel there is a room for relationship managers to handle accounts, and then the tech platform works. So on a regular basis the tech platform should work, but whenever he needs the support there should be some one person whom he can connect within the organization. So
yeah,
that's
so
very
when you build a digital company, I'll take it maybe from that perspective. Digital doesn't mean that there are no people in this company, right?
right.
However, today you look at any of the services, at the end of it, it is backed by a contact center, right? So
Right.
if I'm not as happy with the Swiggy delivery, I will use the app to reach and finally talk to an expert who will say, no worries, you'll get a refund and will compensate for the agony, right? So I mean, whether we call it relationship manager or not, I mean, end of the day, a consumer should have an access to a voice, a
Right.
human voice, right?
Right.
So I mean, I think when you build a digital company, it anyway gets it's not a zero human touch company that we are
Right.
talking about.
Right.
So maybe I'll just add your point and say with a human touch, which sort of whether we call it relationship manager or anything, I mean that I mean as a customer, I
No,
all
I
that.
would say relationship manager because sometimes human touch happen, but it's not consistent. Every time a different person comes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that becomes that's a call center guy calling up as soon as you put a request that somebody else is coming and I'll get. That is of no help because then everybody there is no consistency in the communication that goes into it. So
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
you need
So
one person.
consistency of communication can best be achieved by digital, is my view, Abir.
Right.
If you I mean, if somebody has uh, signed up a contract with you right from explaining the pieces to signing the contract to
Right.
onboarding you to training you, everything actually can happen digital, and that's more cost effective,
Right.
because the moment you put humans, there will be
More,
inconsistencies.
right.
Right. So
So what,
my point would be, maybe just get the human touch at where it deserves the most.
right.
We all have gone contactless and used digital in the last 2 years. So I think what we are more focused on the outcome rather than, having a cup of coffee
Right.
only
Right.
out there. Right. So great. I think we got some suggestions for Justile, and we got some actions in terms of really looking at the strength and building a holistic synergy, in terms of, as you said, restructuring maybe the company itself, or maybe breaking it into different pieces. And the other piece is really relaunching with an identity that is more contemporary and absolutely in line with a larger set of target demography. Right.
Thank
So
you.
I guess, we have to conclude our session, and we can go on and talk around this further. But thank you so much, Abir, for giving your views, and I give it over to Shalini.
We would love to continue this session, but sadly, we are running out of time. And I express my heartfelt gratitude to both the speakers, Mr. Abhi Mazumdar and Mr. Koushik Chatterjee, for a wonderful conversation. That's all for today from your host, Shalini. We will come back next month with a similar exciting episode of the Value Lab. Till then, stay safe and goodbye.